This is Ed Rigsbee, Executive Director, President, Chief Cat Herder, and sometimes called Benevolent Dictator of the Cigar Peg. I am here with Terry Brock. Terry, say hello to everybody.
Hello to everybody. Did I say that right?
I appreciate that. Now that we're here, we're going to go back to my smiling face because I have very high ego. We all know that. And
you must be a speaker, right?
Yeah, you know, it's I'm a long-term NSA member, so ego does come into it. And now that you mentioned that, there we go, my 30
my goodness,
NSA 10. So
yes, indeed.
This is proof positive that I have high ego. All right, so Terry, look at we have been for a long time together. You know, the Cigar Peg's been going a long time. You've been involved with Cigar Peg a long time. I've never seen you smoke a cigar. You know, maybe you've gone in the back room and done it where I wasn't watching. I don't know. You can tell us about that later. But you know, you've been a huge part of this community for a long time. And I think it would be really great for people out there that are kind of looking at Cigar Peg, maybe they're new to NSA, maybe not, to give it from a perspective of a completely different person that's not part of the staff, that's just been a big donator, a big contributor. You know, as I said earlier, hosted 3 parties at your house. So you've done a hell of a lot for Cigar Peg, and I think that your view would be a good one. And because I also really enjoy the libertarian perspective, I think that makes you an expert at it. So why don't you tell everybody from your perspective what what the Cigar Peg means to you?
Well, Cigar Peg is great. I appreciate all those nice things you say. But yeah, I've been involved with it for a long time. I think since the beginning. I was a little bit leery at first, Ed. I don't know if I ever told you this, but now's a good time to do it as we're here because I looked at it and I thought, Cigar Peg? Wait a minute, I don't smoke cigars. I still don't today. So I just never have smoked cigars. It's not my thing. But for those that want to do it, that's okay. Like you mentioned, libertarian, I tend to like the idea of live and let live. Do whatever you want to do in life. Anything. Use your imagination as long as you accept responsibility for your action. And 2, you do not harm another person. Never initiate force or coercion against them. Well, Cigar Peg kind of embodies that. And for me, it's the highlight of the convention, or now I guess we have to say influence. So it's the highlight of influence for me because it gives us a chance to be with friends. And it's kind of like the naughty kids that are, you know, we're going to do something out back that we don't want Mrs. Merple to know about, you know, but we can go over and we can have fun and talk about it. But for me, it's really a matter of getting together with friends and sitting down. Inevitably, we're sitting down over a couple of beverages of our choice, and we get a chance to talk with people about what's really happening. It's not just the, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. Great to see you. Oh, it's great to be seen kind of things that we're supposed to go through. But no, it's like, okay, what's really working for you? I mean, really, and what's not working for you? And what about that bureau? Or what about that speaker? Or what about this person, et cetera? Is that something that is good? Yeah, this person, good guy. You really want to get to know him. She is really good. She's got a good bureau she runs, et cetera, et cetera. You get a chance to find out what things are really like. And I guess that's what I like best about Cigar Peg. It is usually, matter of fact, I have to say always, a highlight of the convention of influence for me. That's what makes it all worthwhile. If Cigar Peg wasn't there, we'd be going, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know if this whole thing is as good. We want to make sure that we have it. And besides, like you say, I love the way you put it in there. It's a philanthropy through fun. We're having fun. We're having a great time. And we're raised, I think the exact number is 100 bazillion or something like that, dollars that we've raised for all kinds of different charities, not just one, but several different of them. And I think you're close to, correct me if I'm wrong, about 320,000 for the NSA Foundation.
Yes.
And I think that really says a lot.
So, you know, Terry, let's talk about this authenticity. I mean, I think that you've really touched on an important point. Whenever you go to a large conference, there's always going to be, no matter what it is, no matter whether it's the National Speakers Association or the National Well Diggers, whatever, there's always going to be posers. There's always going to be people that are going to try to, that are into puffery, that are going to be telling you the numbers they do, and you probably need to take a zero off the end. And as you talked about a little bit more authenticity, and not to slam anybody else, but a little bit more authenticity in the cigar peg. Can you address that even deeper as far as maybe some experiences, and not to reveal any private conversations that you've had, but any kinds of things that you've really gotten into, and keep it more general. But I think that would be really worth sharing with people, getting into that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I think the real benefit of the cigar peg is that you've got a chance to go a little bit deeper in your conversations. It's a chance to really be there. The reason we join NSA, they tell us over and over, and I have to agree with it, is number one, you join because of the content. The educational value. You don't know anybody there, but hey, you want to get into speaking, or you've been in speaking and you want to work on the business side. That's what NSA is about. But once you're there, very soon it's that community that really is the one that keeps us coming back. Because Ed, you and I have both been around. This is my 30th year in NSA also. I hope I get one of those nice little pins this year. But the reason we're going is not so much what's on the content, although that is important, and we still want that. What really matters is the community. And I think the cigar peg puts it in even at a stronger level. I've been able to have conversations with people where it really gets real. And we're able to talk about, here's what's working. This is what I'm doing now, and this works for me. Or I like this, or when I do that. I remember, I'm going to use some names here, using someone like Ford Sakes, good buddy of yours and mine. And Ford really helped me just, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago. We were just talking about technology and what's going on. He and I both are into that. And Ford did a really good job helping me on that. So Ford, if you're watching this, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. And, getting a chance to talk with many, many other people about all kinds of different topics. It's like the cigar peg has an environment set that it's okay. We're here. We're kind of going to do a little bit more than we can. We can use some language that might not be permissible from the NSA stage, and that's okay. People know that going in there. People know that we can talk and we can have ourselves a good time, and we only want good for everyone. I see that there's certain activities that take place. Sometimes we go, that's not for me. But again, that's kind of more in that live and let live kind of thing. If people do something that I go, that's not for me, well, fine. I have yet to see Cigar Peg force anyone to do anything. It's just like, if you don't like it, you don't have to hang around here. You can either go over to another place or go talk to some other people, or you could even go outside, or you don't even have to be there. It's very much, though, that it creates an environment, and a nurturing environment where you can express what you want to do, what you want to say, and be around people that are friends.
So, Terry, we've, whoops, there we go. We've over the years, over the last 20 years, and I think the first time we did this was maybe 2002. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But, we've had some pre-parties over at your house. And one year, Monica Wofford got limos, so everybody got limo rides over. And we've done, various iterations of pre-conference parties. Why do you go to the trouble to open up your house to all these speakers, to some that you do know and some that you don't know?
For adventure. It's, I like to live dangerously, but no, I enjoy having folks come over and be able to get a chance to just sit down. And again, to me, it's the connection. You know me, Ed, you and I are good buddies. I've been talking a lot about technology, and particularly relationship marketing and how they tie together using the technology. I find that you are able to build relationships. And one of the things that has really thrilled me through the years is the various events that I've done here that Gina, my partner, and I put on here as well, is we get a chance to connect people. So we'll have a friend here and a friend here. They don't know each other, but they come here, get a chance to talk together. And then later, people will come back and say, hey, Terry, we connected. We've been able to do this. We've done this business together, or we've done these things. It's been really good. Thank you very much for doing it. So for me, I find it is an enjoyable environment. It becomes something that is good. And having the cigar peg over, I've done it, I think, about 3 times. We did it last year as well. And it was just really nice to do that. I'm thankful for all the people that chose to come over and got a chance to be here. And hey, next time we come to Orlando, Ed, we're going to have to look at doing yet another one. I think we're practicing now. 3 times, good practice. And so we'll be ready for doing it the real way the next time.
Just kind of. Just kind of figuring it out. Yeah. Um, and as far as for for somebody that says, well, it's an extra $100, and depending on when you register, if you register super secret early back in January, you get it for a little bit under 100, and online through June it's 125, and then after July 1 or at the conference it's 150. But regardless of what you pay, this is a two-part question. What's in it for somebody? Why should they spend that money? And then the second part of that question, you chose to be a benefactor, to step it up, to pay a little bit more, have a little bit nicer shirt. And maybe after you talk a little bit about why it's worth it to somebody to spend a couple bucks to join, maybe why they might also want to be a benefactor too.
Well, I think that being a benefactor sounds good. This is actually the first year I've done that, and already enjoying it. Just thinking, hey, I'm going to get a really nice shirt. Okay, that's good. It better be a good shirt, I'll tell you, for that the extra money. But for me, it's a way to say, hey, I'm very thankful for what NSA has done for me, the community, the knowledge that I've gained, and this is a way for me to directly give back to NSA, the Cigar Peg, and to the NSA Foundation. All of that done by just being a part of the Cigar Peg. Plus, for me, it's about business too. So anyone that's saying, hey, I don't want to spend $100, I don't want to spend $150, really, this is an investment. And it really is a great way for you to learn something that you could turn into one or two or more opportunities for speaking, for consulting, for coaching, something that's going to help you in your business. For me, it's all about building and nurturing those relationships. And when it gives you the opportunity for a price of a ticket, that's very reasonable. I mean, come on, $150, that's nothing. $150, you're in now to be able to connect at a really good level with some wonderful people that are really, really smart, and many of them very, very successful. And they can give you some ideas that one idea, hey, I can use that and I can do this and this in my business and turn it around. And so I would say, don't turn down the opportunity to be around some people. I mean, people would spend $1,500 easily and more to get around something. You and I both know some people charging over $15,000, literally, I'm not making this up, for conferences they do, and they do a great job with it. Well, now you get to come for not even $1,500, but for $150. I mean, please, this is a bargain to come and be in a group where you're able to share your ideas, build friendships, and build relationships that can last for many, many years.
Yeah, as you're talking about that, you got me thinking about, it really is. I mean, the $150, it's just really your cost of admission to access this amazing community. I think that I've had quite a number of people that I've got to know, that I've gone and visited around the world, and I think also, the more I'm thinking about what you're saying, I can think back many times where I've called up somebody that's been a Cigar Peg member. I've got to know through the Cigar Peg, asking for some help. Hey, can you explain this? Can you explain that? They're not trying to send me a bill for $1,000 or whatever, and they're just basically become friends and colleagues more so than maybe. Boy, this is, since it's Cigar Peg, I guess we need to take a risk here. But
go for it.
One of the things that I've noticed, and maybe you could just put the warning out. Let's just talk for a moment to newer people that are coming to Influence or the NSA convention the first time. What would you say to those people when somebody comes up to them and says, I'll tell you what, I can teach you branding, I can teach you how to run your business, you give me $5,000 and I'll have you going in the next 2 weeks. What do you think? What would you tell a new speaker when they hear somebody offering that kind of a deal?
I would say don't go to either extreme. One extreme would say, hey, I'll go for everything that anybody says. The other extreme would say, I'm not going to pay anything to anybody. Wait a minute. If you wanted to be, let's say, a plumber, You're 18 years old and you really want to be a plumber. Would it be good to hire a plumber who's already doing it very well and have that person teach you how to do that, the nuances of the trade and that kind of thing? Absolutely. We all know the benefit of apprenticeship. We know the benefits of being around people that are really smart. Some of the best money you can spend is finding the right person who can solve the problem that you have. Instead of you spending this much time, you can spend this much time and you make it worth their while. Bear in mind that no one owes you a living. Nobody owes you anything. Your needs do not constitute a demand on another person's resources. Just because someone knows how, I mentioned Ford Sakes before. Ford is a person who gives a lot. He's very giving. He's helped. I know many people on that. But also some people would say, oh, gee, I don't want to spend money for this. Well, he has to eat. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the grocery stores in Wichita, Kansas require real dollars, not just somebody gave you a like on Facebook or something like that. And I think to be able to compensate someone who can help you is good. So I think like so many things in life, you got to use your brain. There are people in NSA who are really, really smart and have done a lot. I have hired them. I have worked with them. I've worked with a number of people, and I've worked with people outside of NSA. I find it is a really smart use of your time, your money, and your energy to find the right person who can help you. Now, a good thing to do is to start in a small way. Don't say, hey, I'm going to hire them for the full year for $1 billion. Instead, you might say, wait a minute, let me just do 1 hour and see what it's like. We mentioned, for instance, the $150 that would be to go to the Cigar Peg. Think about it for a moment. If you had a chance to have some friends come over to your town, and they're really good people, they've got a lot of good ideas, and let's say there's 3 or 4 of them, you probably would not object to say, hey, I'm going to take all of them out to dinner, and I'm going to sit down, I'm going to talk with them. $150, it'd be a bargain. Well, Cigar Peg provides the setting. It provides the environment where people can talk and can have in-depth conversations, way beyond the, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. What are you doing? Oh, I'm going here, here, here. You ever notice, Ed, so many NSA members, they like to tell, when you say, how you doing? They now feel obligated to tell you where they've been and the restaurants that were bad that they went to and how the airline treated them real poorly, etc. Well, we don't need all that. We can go in really productive, healthy, in-depth conversations in the Cigar Peg. And I find that really helpful. Look at it from a business point of view. This makes sense. Sometimes to hire a person who's really, really smart. And by the way, we can do it today very easily over Zoom. You and I are using Zoom right now to record this. We can take a conversation in Zoom and press that little button there and record it as well, so that now you're tapping into the brain power of somebody who's really smart, can really help you. And so you say, here it is, I'll take care of that. And you pay them either through PayPal or even better through cryptocurrency. Bitcoin Cash can work really well. And I just had to throw that plug in there, of course, Ed.
Your favorite little discussion.
Yeah, that's right. Bitcoin Cash works really, really well. So does Ethereum, as well as Bitcoin and a host of others. But I think, seriously, what you want to do is look at it from a business point of view. Be honorable. Treat the other person's time valuably, helping them and remunerate them properly. When they give you advice, they help you out. Sometimes it's in your best interest to pay them so that you can get the information you need when you need it in a way that is delivered in a way where you can ask questions about it and you can make sure that it solves your problems.
So, Terry, that's a great segue / lead-in, which I wasn't really planning on talking about, but I think I'm going to talk about it. We have the Cigar Peg auction, and that's really where we make our money every year. That's our one and only fundraiser. I don't know if many people know this, but we absorb the loss. It costs us about $160 or $170 per member to put on the suite, to put on the party and all that. So we actually lose money on membership. But you know, a lot of newer people don't even know about the auction, or somebody that's never been to Cigar Peg. You know, we have some pretty interesting people that donate their time. They get nothing out of it other than the recognition, and there's these amazing services that are available. So maybe you might want to, you know, maybe you can address, like this year, Jeff Ram, Donna St. Louis, David Newman, Peter Stark, Matt Bauer, and I'm forgetting a couple others that will come to me. But maybe you can talk to a little bit about the idea of if somebody were to buy services from one of the auction celebrities, is that a pretty good deal?
Well, I'm going to go back to what we said before. Yes, and doubly yes this time, because you see, you're getting someone usually at a discount from what you would normally have to pay to get them. And you've got the genius of this person. Let's say you hire someone and she's just a genius on speaking and getting big, getting booked and knows what to do on that. When you can hire that person and she then helps you either via you going to her place, or she comes to yours, or you do it over Zoom or something like that, you're getting information, but then also, of course, you're helping out the causes, I should say. And that's the beauty of the Cigar Peg, that it's helping a variety of different causes, all of which have been vetted, all of which we've looked at. Many people can say, hey, we ought to give money to this or that. Sometimes there's causes that are not as good. The nice thing about it, you and your team will go through that and go, okay, we've checked this out. We know this person is reliable. The funds are going to be used that way. And now you get a chance to get help in your business because someone else has donated their time and you want to treat them properly with that. Maybe hiring them a little bit more. If they would work with you for free for the Cigar Peg, maybe you like what you saw and you might want to work with them for more later on. I think all of that factors in. So that, again, I like to live life with a value for value concept so that there's a win all the way around. Everyone is better off, and we've got to remember value for value, not just because someone says, I have a great need, I hurt, therefore you have some money, and I'm going to take it from you. No, we don't do it that way. We figure out ways that everyone can win.
So, thank you, Terry. So, what else is on your mind in general regarding Cigar Peg? You know, there's always, I know when I'm talking to somebody, I always forget to ask question A, B, or C. And there's probably some questions that I forgot to ask you or didn't think to ask you, or maybe just aren't smart enough to know to ask you. And I'm okay with that. So, you know, from your perspective, you're a long-term NSA member. You're a Hall of Fame speaker. You're a CSP. You're the real deal in the speaking industry. And coming from somebody that's the real deal in the speaking industry, let's face it, I mean, people should just join Cigar Peg to come and be able to just hang around you. That's just number one. But putting that aside, what else are some of the things that you think are important, maybe to tell others about that I didn't really think about?
Well, I think what you want to do is when you come to NSA, to influence, to the convention, we used to call it convention, now they call it influence, but when you're there, be prepared. Be prepared to absorb, to learn, and do more listening rather than talking. One of the things, Ed, that puzzled me is when I'll see in places, not only NSA, but I remember I was at a conference and I was working there as MC, and there was a very well-known, nationally known celebrity on television. He's really, really popular, and in this particular niche, he really is super popular. Well, I wanted to find him, and I had to ask him a real quick question logistically, what was going on. I went in this back room, and here was a young man talking to him. I would guess he was about like 20, 21 years old, and all he was doing was just going on and on and on about his new great cause, trying to impress this celebrity with that for like 10, 15 minutes. The celebrity was being most gracious and kind. And I thought, would this little kid shut up and listen? I mean, when you're around someone that is really well known or has a lot of knowledge, you should be asking a lot of questions and listening and not talking about what you're doing and your thing. I think the old thing of you have 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth, and that's the proportion you should use them. Yeah, definitely. I think that too many times we see with people that have you've heard me talk about this before, Ed, they have what I call eye trouble. Now, I don't mean EYE, eye trouble. I mean the letter I. I did this. I did that. I'm doing this. My thing, this. Me, I. I feel like saying you're wasting your time. You're making people annoyed, and instead orient it about them. Tell me about that. Why did you do that? What do you feel is the best thing to do in this situation? Here's the 2 options we've got today. Of these, what do you think are the merits of the pros and cons of these? Ask more questions rather than always be speaking what you think. Watch out for eye trouble, and I think we'll be a lot better off both at the Cigar Peg and in life in general. And while still got the microphone, still have my microphone going right here, Ed, with that, I want you to know, and as the people watching, you have done a really good job, Ed. You have put this together. You've given your time, your money, your energy to make Cigar Peg something that started as just kind of a hee ha ha, descendant from the pool peg, which was something we had before. Now, see, there's some history lessons for you youngsters out there. The pool peg, and now it becomes Cigar Peg, and it's not just about cigars. It's about that. And Ed has put out a lot. Ed, we really appreciate what you have done, the kind of work that you and your team, you've got a wonderful team of people that volunteer to work on that and give. Thank you for doing that on part of someone who has attended, I think every year since the Cigar Peg has been out. Really enjoy it and appreciate what you're doing. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much for that, Terry. Thank you very much. It's I think one always gets a little embarrassed when one receives a compliment, and one has to be able to just say thank you. So, but that
That's right.
that leads me a little bit to back to you're talking about the eye trouble, and and what I'm getting ready to say is not meant to slam anybody or make anybody feel bad, but my observation is when somebody comes new to like a conference, there's a little bit of a little bit of lack. Some people are lacking self-confidence. They think that maybe they're not good enough because they're next to these really important people. And I think I'd like to just tag on to something that you said, and to anybody new, it's probably you are good enough. And probably you've got something to say that other people would be interested in if you did it in an intelligent way. And probably you would really get a much higher ROI if your time talking, as Terry said, was questions rather than having to gas people on what you're doing. Because I think there's this subliminal need to, well, Terry, I got to tell you everything about me, so you think I'm good enough to be in the room with you. And
I think you're hitting the nail on the head on that one.
And I think that for anybody that's new or just, you probably are good enough. If you just kind of were to relax and not try to be something you're not, just be you, be authentic, probably everybody's going to like you. And I think, have you noticed also that it's when people try to put on airs that others kind of go, yeah, I don't want to be around that person.
Exactly. They're being plastic, and I think focus on the other person. It's much like my work as an MC. I do a lot of that, and I get people sometimes that are nervous. They're not a speaker, and they're coming up and they're nervous, and I often will tell them what I've heard from really smart people that do a very good job in coaching, like Patricia Fripp or Lou Heckler, Max Dixon, and others in NSA community who help people in the craft of speaking. Focus on the other person. If you're thinking about yourself like, oh, am I dressed okay? Did I comb my hair correctly? And by the way, Ed, I combed my hair particularly well for you today.
Thank you. Yeah, I did the same.
You did the same. I appreciate that. But people are thinking about themselves. That's where the nervousness comes in. You're concentrating on yourself, and you haven't prepared enough. If you over-prepare, so you really know your content, you've got this much material for this amount of time, that's good, and focus on them. Look at the concerns they have. Get out into the audience beforehand. Something I learned from NSA member Ken Futch really helped me a lot of getting out this was years ago. When you get to an event, whenever possible, get there way early and talk to the people, shake their hands, get a chance to know them so that way you can relate to them. Just casual conversation. Often you might talk to John, and John is from a certain city, and he said he's going through these kind of challenges. And you go, oh, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of that in my program. Now what you can do is from the platform, when you're giving your presentation, you could say, and by the way, John was mentioning beforehand that we did da-da-da-da. Make sure that it's okay and proper and acceptable to them, that you're not putting them in an embarrassing situation or revealing anything that's private. But when you can really involve other people more, you do better. And I would say for those of you that are watching this, make it your point to try to ask more questions. Use the word you more than I. when you're in conversations, particularly around people who really are smart, know a lot. I think it was Chuck Reeves, an NSA member, who said, finds it really interesting after talking with someone for a while, when you walk away, step back and go, what do I know about them? And what do they know about me? Often you step back and it's like, okay, this person has just told me everything they've done, particularly also told me a lot about just complaining about the bad restaurant they went to, or the hotel that didn't treat them right, or the airline that didn't treat them right, and just go on and on and on about that, versus a real quality conversation where you're sharing and you learn and you have ideas. That is the kind of quality conversation. And looping back to what you talked about, why I would open up my home, a condo where Gina and I are here. We love have people come over where we can sit down and have really good quality conversations, where we're talking about, as the McQuistion company says it, things that matter with people who care. And I think that's the key. When you can talk about things that matter with people who care, and they're asking questions, they're learning, we're growing. It's not a complaint session where we're going to complain, because really, frankly, I don't care that 3 weeks ago the airline lost your luggage, or you had a bad flight, or what, really sorry, but hey, welcome to the planet. It works that way here, Sparky. You got to get used to this. But instead, focus on the other person, care for them, and life tends to go a whole lot better that way.
Well, I think you just gave the listeners, or the viewers, one heck of a great tip. That's gold in there, Terry. That's pure gold.
Well, glad to help out where I can. I've still got a long way to go. I figure I'm in second week of kindergarten learning about this stuff, and I'm heading for a PhD. So I've got a long, long way to go. I've got much to learn, and I like to, as much as I can, learn and keep my ears wide open. I like the way Chris Brogan says it. He says what we need to do is grow bigger ears, where we're listening more to what people have to say. We learn a lot more that way.
Sure, absolutely. Any last comments before we close this puppy down?
Well, I would just say, for those of you that are watching this, I look forward to seeing you at the Cigar Peg. By the way, if you do see this, please come up and say hi. I'd love to talk with you. I can tell you what I've done. Yeah, I can do that. But no, I'd want to hear what's going on and how you're doing. And if you are on the fence, you're thinking, okay, I've heard of the Cigar Peg. I don't know. Hear it from a guy here. I've never smoked a cigar in my life. I just don't choose to. Those that want to, that's their business. Let them do it. They can do what they want. Again, do whatever you want to do. Just don't harm anyone else. Don't initiate force. You defend yourself, yeah, but don't initiate force, and take responsibility for what you do. I think if we live our lives that way, live and let live, the world would be a lot better place. And again, Ed, thank you for all you've done putting the Cigar Peg together. We really appreciate it. Absolutely,
Terry, and thank you. This has been a great little bit of time that we spent together, and I truly hope that everybody gets a lot of value. Again, we're going to be this year at the Hilton Anatole. Cigar Peg Party is going to be Sunday night at Gillies. If you get to NSA Friday evening, we're going to be over across the street from the Anatole at Ferris Wheeler's Backyard Barbecue. It's a no-host deal. It's outdoors. Yes, some of the people will be smoking, but their barbecue there is totally amazing. And so we got that Friday. And every night, the suite will be open. It'll be, well, they haven't given me the room number yet, but it'll be there. It should be a great time. And every evening after the NSA festivities, come up and have an adult beverage of your choice. Some people even have 2 or 3, don't they, Terry?
I've heard that happened. I read it in a book once that they have done that some people have been known to do that. And by the way, I must say, you have some very good bartenders there as well. Find people who volunteer for that, and really appreciate what they do. Rick Metzger and Michael, we appreciate what they're doing, and others who have served us and done a very good job of that.
Very good. Everybody, thanks so much. Terry, I'm going to bid you adieu, and it's been a wonderful time together.